Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of For Pete's Sake, the ongoing series in which I look back through my dad's records one by one as a way to honour his memory and try and kind of figure out the man that he was based on something that he loved. So I did say that last week I did say that this week I would be recording somewhere different. So this is the little room at my mum and dad's house where my mum still lives, and this is where we would listen to music. So behind us is where the stereo system was, the tiered system with the cassette deck and the vinyl at the top and the CD player, etc. That was there. It was a momentous day when my dad brought that home, and I will talk more about that next week, which is another special episode. I'm currently also sat in my dad's favourite chair, so that's a nice touch, I'm sure you would agree. And what this enables me to do, being here, is dig out some old family photographs that will help to provide some context. So, there's two that I've chosen. Now, if I was good at video editing, I could just splice these into the video, but I'm not, so you're going to have to make do with the old hold to the camera method. So this is me and my dad. There we go, with the family dog Keita, who I will talk more about in another episode. We're sat on the doorstep of this very house there. It's a lovely picture, that I'm sure you'd agree. I'm wearing my St Peter's primary school uniform. Can't remember the picture being taken, but it's a nice one. And I've also picked this one out mainly because of how appalling my haircut is. I thought that some people would enjoy that. So again, there you go. Check out those flowing locks. What was I thinking? Lovely stuff. Okay, so with that done, let's get into this week's album then. So, this week we will be looking at Bruce Springsteen's 7th album, Born in the USA, 7th studio album, so and his most successful album and one of the best-selling albums in the history of music. So if we start with the sleeve, it's incredibly iconic, very famous photograph of the boss stood in front of the American flag. He said, he was accused of, he was asked, are you urinating on the flag? And he just said, no, I look better from behind than I do from the front, so that's fair enough. And then on the back, you've got the track listing, same photo again. So yeah. It's by Annie Leibovitz, that photo, is a very famous rock photographer. Now this vinyl, I had never played this vinyl because by the time I started playing all my dad's vinyls, I already loved Bruce Springsteen and I had his albums on CD. So I never had a reason to play this one. So it was a lovely surprise for me when I opened up this one to find, obviously you've got the record and the sleeve, but you have also got in here, which I had no idea about, this Bruce Springsteen poster. So that's lovely, isn't it? Nice touch. Might get that framed. My wife would love that, I imagine. Now the inner sleeve, which features a lovely picture of the boss there, you can see that it's come apart at the bottom. Or actually, no, it hasn't. It was supposed to be like that, I think. It's like a booklet sleeve. And as with many of the other ones we've looked at, you've got all the lyrics there on the inside. And then on the back, you have got pictures of the band. So yeah. Yeah, interesting. I've never seen that before, like a booklet one. That is interesting. Nothing much to say about the vinyl itself. So I'm going to move on from that. Okay. So, a bit of info about this album then. As I said, it was Springsteen's 7th studio album. It was released on June the 4th, 1984, when my dad would have been 26 years old. So again, I don't know what he was doing with himself at this time, but this is later than the other albums we've looked at. So this album is, as I say, Springsteen's most successful album. It's not my favourite. I'm going to go more into Springsteen when Born to Run comes up, when that one gets chosen, because that was my dad's favourite Springsteen album. It's one of my favourites. So I'm going to focus just on this album. Just to give you a bit of kind of background though, this album was recorded, a lot of these songs were recorded at the same time as the previous songs on the album before this, Nebraska, which was a very introspective acoustic album that were just demos that he didn't tour or promote or anything like that. He didn't do any interviews for it. He just kind of put it out. I think there's only 10 songs on it. and it was well received by critics, but not like a massive commercial success, as you'd imagine from that kind of album. So this one, though, is obviously totally different. It was a cultural behemoth. So let's talk about some of the songs then. The title track, Born in the USA, is famously one of the most misunderstood songs in the history of music. Many people think that it is a patriotic anthem, as the title would suggest. Although, I'm surprised that so many people think that when the opening line to the song is, born down in a dead man's town, the first kick I took was when I hit the ground. You end up like a dog that's been beat too much till you spend half your life just covering it up. That is not kind of that's not a patriotic anthem, isn't it? That's not a man who's talking about the American dream. It's quite the opposite. It's the inversion of the American dream. It's a great song. It's one that I don't listen to much, to be honest. It's one of his more overplayed songs, but still a beauty. I also wanted to talk about I'm on Fire. So I'm on Fire is a underrated song in my opinion. Just a straight up kind of, not even a love song, but a lust song really. And while this album is very of its time because it's very synth orientated and there's loads of snare in it, this particular song, even though it is led by a synth line, sounds more timeless than a lot of the stuff on here in my opinion. Yeah, great song. And then I also wanted to talk about, No Surrender. So this is a song about friendship. Side B begins with two songs, No Surrender and Bobby Jean, which were both songs that were influenced by Springsteen's friendship with his longtime guitar player Stevie Van Zandt, Little Stevie, who was leaving the E Street Band around this time. He would return, but he was leaving around this time. And what I love about this song, No Surrender, two things. One is the opening line. We busted out of class, had to get away from those fools. We learned more from a 3-minute record than we ever learned in school. Love that, and it's true. And also, this song for me really captures it talks about in the chorus, no retreat, no surrender. It really captures that kind of spirit of Springsteen's songs of like, we are not going to let our circumstances and life kind of crush us beneath its boot. There are plenty of songs that he has where the characters do succumb to that, but there's also lots of songs that are about kind of breaking free of that and you know, making something of yourself and all these kind of things. So yeah, it really epitomizes kind of Springsteen's more hopeful stuff, that song. And it's a nice contrast because some of the songs on this album are quite dark and quite kind of similar to the stuff that's on Nebraska really. Stuff like Downbound Train and Working on the Highway are both songs about people that have kind of lost everything. So it's a nice contrast with No Surrender. Then I wanted to talk about Glory Days. So Glory Days was a single from this album that was really popular. Now Glory Days is a song that can be taken two ways. You can take it on face value as a celebration of nostalgia, okay? Or you can take it as the opposite, saying that nostalgia is a bad thing. That's how Springsteen intended it, but when you are sat in a pub belting out the line, I'm going down to the well tonight, I'm going to drink till I get my fill, that sounds more like a celebration of, I'm going to go, I'm going to have a few beers, I'm going to talk about the glory days, I'm going to think about the glory days. But if you examine the lyrics a little bit further, in fact, if you continue to the next line of the song, it says, I hope when I get old, I don't sit around thinking about it, but I probably will. Just sitting back trying to recapture a little of the glory, but time slips away and leaves you with nothing but boring stories of glory days. And when I first heard that song, I wasn't old enough to have glory days because I was a kid. But now, that resonates with me, really does. In fact, it stings a little because how many of us love to sit around in bars and reminisce about old times. But I don't think that Springsteen's demonising that. I think he's saying it's dangerous. And if you get too lost in the past, then you won't look forward to the future. Brilliant song. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the final song on the album, My Hometown. So My Hometown it tells a story about an 8-year-old boy who is reminiscing about time that he spent with his own dad, and then the boy grows up and he has a son of his own, and it's a reflection on those kind of relationships, on father-son relationships. So very prescient for this particular series. Now, what's interesting about this is when this song was released, Springsteen was 35 years old. So I'm 38 now. So again, when I was a kid, the kid described in this song is who I kind of associated myself with. But now I see myself more as the grown-up father. And what that made me reflect on is people talk about the 5 stages of grief, which apparently has been debunked. But one of those stages is anger. And I wanted to explore that a little bit because I was 31 when my dad died. And listen, some people don't get that. But it's a shame. It's not a shame. It pains me to say it. But sometimes when I hear people who are in the 40s or even 50s talking about, oh yeah, I went for a drink with my dad or whatever, and I just think, God, you got 20 more years than I got. How can that be fair? And it's an ugly emotion to think. It's ugly to think that way, but I think it's fine for anyone else who's thought similar thoughts. I think it's natural. So to continue on that thread, then I start thinking about all the things that my dad has missed since he died. I've become a qualified teacher. I passed my driving test, which is something I only mentioned because he was so desperate for me to do it, and he'd have been delighted when that happened. He'll never meet my daughter, which again makes me very sad but also angry because he would be an incredible grandparent. But the point that the reason I wanted to talk about this is I think the healthy thing to do though is to reflect on the things that you do get with your loved ones. So my dad was at my wedding day, and he put in a great performance. He was there all through my school years, all through my 20s and all that kind of stuff. We've had so many great times together, holidays and drinking and just little stuff like I'd often just pop round just for a chat, Sunday dinners, that kind of stuff. All that stuff I did get, and that's the point, is to be thankful for the things that you have. And if anyone is watching this whose dad is still alive and you have a relationship with them, give them a call. And I know that's a cliche to say, but I wish I could, so give them a call. Okay, I wonder if there is anything else. I don't know how long this video has been. I'm not going to worry too much about this one, the length of it, because I knew this one would be a bit longer because of the circumstances around it, because I'm recording it at home, so I had a bit more to say. And I'll do some more episodes here and talk a little bit more about our home life and things like that. So I guess that all that's left to do is to pick the next album I'm going to cover. Now next week is going to be a special episode where I am not specifically choosing one album, and that I will explain that more next week, and that's going to be filmed somewhere else as well. But I will still pick an album for the week after that so that everyone can see what's coming up in 2 weeks' time. So let's take a look. Now in the place where I normally record, you can't really see this. Let's see what it's like here, I don't know. Okay. Right then, let's have a look. Bob Dylan, Nashville Skyline, another great pick. Look forward to talking about that one. So yeah, all that's left to say is thank you everyone for watching. I hope that this one was not too long, and I will see you all next time. Thank you very much.